Have you ever observed the night sky, and lo and behold, the moon is nowhere to be seen? Well, believe it or not, the moon alternates between daytime and nighttime due to its slower speed in comparison to the sun. Thus, the moon falls behind daily by about 50 minutes, leading to a monthly overlap between the sun and the moon in what is called a conjunction. And after this overlap of lunar darkness comes the first sliver of light from the moon, which many people recognize as the new moon. But in the Bible, is this event truly what Scripture is referring to? Well, that's our topic today as we dig biblically to discover what is a new moon. Hello, and welcome to First Light's Quantum Corner. I'm your host, Renaya, and if you're new, subscribe and notify up to be the first for all quantum news. So go ahead, click it. Got it? Good. Now on to today's topic. What is a new moon, and why should you care? Well, first and foremost, it's a phase of the moon that occurs every 29 or 30 solar days. But so what? Isn't that true for every phase? And the answer would be yes. However, every lunar phase isn't associated with a scripture that attaches eternal significance to it. For Isaiah chapter 63, verse 23 reads as follows, "And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord." So here we have a certain period, a certain day of the year associated with worship, and this is of immense importance. For different days of honor represents worship to different gods, so to speak. That's why a Christian would never celebrate Ramadan, a Muslim Passover, nor an Israelite Easter. And as Paul says in chastisement in Galatians chapter 4, verse 9b through 10, "How turn you again to the weak and beggarly elements, whereunto you desire again to be in bondage? You observe days and months and times and years." Now for the initiate in biblical studies, it could seem that observing the new moon is doing just that, but let me clarify, it isn't. That is, the new moon is a memorial, a celebration, but the question is, of what? And how is it more than a weak and beggarly element? Well, to find out, just stick around to the end. But for now, let's see if you know what weak and beggarly elements we unknowingly call upon all the time. That is, what elements or principles of nature do days like Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday pay homage to? Just click open the poll icon above and select one of the choices to the right. And stay tuned for the correct answer near the very end. And definitely, if you get it right, type the word quantum in the comment section below. So let's solve what is a new moon together. And we'll start off by saying this. It doesn't even have anything to do with the moon. That's right. The phrase new moon is a misnomer. You see, when the Bible talks about the nocturnal element in the sky, the primitive root word in Paleo Hebrew is yarak, which correlates with Strong's number H3391 and is translated as either month or moon, such as in Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, where the sun stood still and the moon stayed. Now you'd expect the Hebrew word for new to be in front of yarak to create the phrase we now refer to as new moon. However, this just isn't the case. Instead, we find a completely different word, namely the primitive root word kadash, which is Strong numbers H2318, and is translated as either renew or repair. So what's the deal? How could a vague word like renew come to mean new moon? Well, to be fair, one could think of the moon as being renewed each month as it goes through its lunation. And this is a fair assumption if all we had to go off were the 66 books of the highly truncated Bible. But it isn't. That is, the now considered extra-biblical book of Jubilees has something more to add. Starting in chapter 6, verse 25, it reads, "And on the new moon of the first month Noah was bidden to make for himself an ark. And on that day the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth." So in the first month, two things are being remembered. Noah's initial calling to build an ark, and the ark being opened after the great deluge. In other words, a recollection of obedience and the protection affords after the rise of trouble. Continuing, verse 26a reads, "And on the new moon of the fourth month, the mouths of the depths of the abysses beneath were closed." And so, in this fourth month, we have the remembrance of the Most High's righteous decree, unstoppable by any man from any age, for it occurs on the ocean floor. Going on, verse 26b adds, "And on the new moon of the seventh month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the water began to descend into them." Thus, the mercy of the Most High is remembered in the seventh month upon this so-called new moon, with the descent of water representing the Most High's deliverance in our day-to-day life. Finally, verse 27 reads, "And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad." And so it is in the 10th month, 3 months before the first month, that we have Noah full of hope and gladness, for the Most High had just tested him, and Noah's faith had seen him through. He had been to the mountaintop, and nothing remained but a smooth descent. And so these so-called new moons were 4 in total, all spaced 3 months apart, from first month to fourth, fourth to seventh, seventh to 10th, and 10th to first. This falls short of the 12 we would expect if we really were observing new moons over 12 months. Indeed, Jubilees chapter 6 verse 29 makes it clear that only 4 days are being referenced, stating that each had 13 weeks from one to another past their memorial, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth. Moreover, if you chart out all the 13 weeks, eventually a discrepancy will arise if lunar observations are being made, and the scholars know this. That's why in Vanderkam's translation of Jubilees, the new moon is rendered as the first, and thus it's the first of the first month, the first of the fourth month, the first of the 7th month, and the first of the 10th month. When this adjustment is made and these days are placed on a 364-day calendar, the 13-week observation from earlier passes with flying colors. Additionally, the word first harmonizes more readily with Kadash, or renew, than with new moon. For the first of any month is a renewal that occurs once every year. However, to remove all doubt that any type of lunar observation or new moon is involved, we leave you with Jubilees chapter 6, verse 36 through 37b. For there will be those who assuredly make observations of the moon. Now the moon disturbs the seasons and cometh in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason the years will come upon them, the Israelites, when they will disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day. So now you know what a new moon truly is in Scripture. It's the renewal of the first, 4th, 7th, and 10th month, which memorializes the days of Noah upon the ark, and how the Most High rescues those he loved. And while the Most High has a firstborn, his love extends toward every nation. For the earth was repopulated not only by Shem, or Shemitic people, but also by Japheth and Ham too. Finally, as we mentioned earlier, the so-called new moon, better termed the new season after this study, has never been about worshiping the weak and beggarly elements, as stated in Galatians chapter 4, verse 9. Rather, it has always been about praising and adoring the Creator, not the creature, for what he has done. Anyway, may this knowledge be a blessing to you. And as always, we appreciate your continued support. And if you found this video beneficial, then give us a thumbs up. And definitely share this with other seekers of truth, seekers like you. For as Empress, it's only together that we flourish the light. First light. Shalom. Congratulations for making it to the very end. And the answer to today's poll question is answer choice B, sun, moon, and water.